Hello, team. Happy Saturday. Thank you so much for all the likes as well. It's nice to come in here and see 200 people have liked it so far. So I appreciate that. So we're going to talk about the world, the market, the week that just passed, some of the news that may have been missed, and we'll just cover a whole bunch of interesting stuff too. Um, just uncovering so many great things. So let's jump in. And this is the IA Quickie, where you get the most KPM anywhere on the interwebs. So let's talk about the first topic of the day. And why is my clicker not working? Screw it, we don't need it. The story today is really just to, talk about what the problem is. Why is everybody so bearish? I have no idea. People expected a huge rally. It didn't happen. It kind of fizzled out. The conference kind of fizzled out. Although I did pull about 72 brilliant nuggets of information from the conference. So I personally got a lot from it, and I distilled it down to 3 separate videos, one per day. But let's talk about what is going on in the marketplace right now. So if we look here, you can see that the coin market cap, big thank you, Matthias Jensen, Mengatak, the big coin market cap is under 2 trillion again. This is bizarre. There's just so much bearish sentiment out there right now. I don't know why. You've got a lot of people just freaking out, and I don't know why they can't relay back to, say, the 22nd of January or the 22nd of February when things were really, really weak. Yes, the conference did fizzle out, but what is very interesting about this chart, and it just occurred to me putting it together for you guys, is we are above the 50-day moving average, which is the red line, which is good. We have very solid support here at this $1.96 trillion level, but you can see where the resistance is very clearly at the 200-day moving average up above. And that is, if I zoom in real quick, that takes us to about $2.15 trillion on the nose. So enough of that. That's the coin market cap. But what does have people concerned, like me, and what people don't get is, of course, the money printing. Alice Liu, who is a senior associate at Wisdom Tree Europe, she put this great griddle graphic together, and I found it pretty fascinating, because everybody's talking about the inflation narrative and why is Bitcoin not behaving like an inflation hedge. Well, it is, and it was, but it's kind of lost that because there's some macroeconomic stuff going on right now, like war, fear of interest rate hikes, etc., and nobody knows where this is going to go. This is still a relatively new asset, and people are getting frustrated. Why is it not behaving in the way that many people thought it would? So if you look at this chart here, you'll see a couple of things. On the left-hand side, you've got the Bitcoin supply versus the Fed balance sheet. And on the bottom, you have the Bitcoin inflation rate in the green kind of teal line on the second axis. We're at about 1.7%. And you look at the total assets of the Federal Reserve going bonkers. So to anybody, you can see, yes, it may not be acting like an inflation hedge just yet, but it will. It's only a matter of time. As I always say, gravity works. Cream will float to the top, and this will happen. It'll give. Now, there was a bit of concern yesterday from data from Glassnode. I was looking at this live last night, and there was a small spike in Bitcoin inflow onto exchanges, about $1 billion worth. Remember, when you're dealing with near $1 trillion asset, that's 1,000th of the actual volume, but $1 billion did flow onto the exchange. That rattled some people, and because normally over the last 6-8 weeks, there's been a lot of drainage, as I call it, from exchanges. And then there was a sudden $1 billion spike inflow, which means whales are getting ready to manipulate. And they did, because there was some liquidations as well. Not too much, but immediately what happened next is very interesting, because the very next day, i.e. this morning, you can see that a day later, all was gone. Now, it's kind of hard to train your eye on that orange line on the bottom right-hand corner, but you can see the $1 billion inflow yesterday, and then more than $1 billion out today. So from that perspective, it was a blip. It was a blip. Maybe it's a planned manipulation. Maybe just moving stuff around from one wallet to another through an exchange. I'm not sure. But it's important to monitor this stuff. But let's talk about some of the other good stuff. This person, this is from C15 Capital. And whoever this is, whoever this wallet is, they are buying $1 million of Bitcoin every single day, regardless of price. Just boom, 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 DCAing $1 million, $1 million, $1 million. And they are about to eclipse that magical 10,000 Bitcoin mark. Remember, as I said a couple of days ago, there's two cohorts buying right now, 10 Bitcoin and below, and 10,000 Bitcoin and above. And of course, this guy or gal or organization, whoever this is, spending $1 million every single day. So they're not going to stop. And that's what's happening. It's just people are just accumulating when they can. So in other news, just a quick reminder regarding the whole inflation narrative, and a big thank you to Sanjay for sharing. This is from NYDIG, and I made some edits to their graphic, and I put in a huge red arrow signifying this is where we are in the lifespan of Bitcoin on a simple graphical chart. Bitcoin began in 2009. The last coin will be issued in the year 2140, and we are at the 19 million mark. Just a reminder, visually, this is a hard asset. This will not be inflationary. In fact, I do believe it's already deflationary because people are careless with their keys and their seed phrases, and they're losing stuff on hard drives, etc. So this is why we love Bitcoin. It is the only asset on earth like this. Now, switching gears, talking about Ethereum, it was actually a little bit of an interview at the Bitcoin conference with Kitco, and one fellow from Galaxy Digital believes that the Ethereum market cap could flip Bitcoin in about 3 years. Very interesting. And his price target for Ethereum by the end of this year is 6,000. So I thought that was pretty conservative, pretty possible. But here you can see the supply of ETH in exchanges continues to decline despite a tiny uptick in Feb. Now, currently the number of ETH on centralized exchanges hit 15 million. That's a 6.1% decline since the 1st of March. 6.1% is very large considering the size of this asset. And this indicates that investors are growing confident in Ethereum and expecting a bullish move in the near future. We don't know if they're right, but the people moving these large volumes are big, big buckets of ETH. They're coming off the exchanges fast. Again, supply and demand will hit. It's going to go deflationary real soon. We're real close to that deflationary level right now as we speak. I didn't even know I'm holding this thing. It doesn't work, so I'm on the keyboard. Now, there's a little bit of news for those who have a Robinhood account and have crypto on it. They did roll out wallets to 2 million people on the waitlist, which was good. We expected that to happen a little later than expected. But there's 3 places that don't have these wallets. And people in these 3 places are very upset. That's New York, Hawaii, and Nevada. Don't get them because of regulations. When will these states ever wake up and just let people have access to what they purchased? It's ridiculous. Anyway, Robinhood will also add the Bitcoin Lightning Network to its platform for off-chain transactions. Again, so much good stuff happened last week with the Lightning Network. It has to be a video unto itself, and we're going to work on that as well, as many people have asked. Now, a little recap on some of the news. I was on Crypto Banter. Big thank you to Rand for inviting me for the second time. And a quick mention, forever grateful. Ran was one of the first people to reach out when my channel was cancelled for that 24-hour period or whatever it was. And he said, come on my channel and let's do it. So I appreciate that. But Terra chose Avalanche over the other L1s, and a lot of articles are being written now about exactly why this happened. And the question is, as I mentioned on Banter on Friday, I was extremely bullish on Luna when they started backing their stablecoin with Bitcoin. I thought that was a genius move. Mixing it in with other alts, concerning. Now, what has me concerned is, are they going to continue or are they going to stop? And that remains what's going to happen. But there was an Unchained podcast, and Quan spoke about the Luna UST working in tandem. And I get the incentives. I understand partnerships, 1 + 1 = 3, synergy, all that type of stuff. But are they going to stop? And I do hope so. So we'll see. I'm not a believer in the algorithmic stablecoin being backed by an asset that's very inflationary, but I understand the benefits of opening up ecosystems and having more people in the party. So I just hope they stop. That's all I'm saying on this one. Now, what is interesting though is you look, we all know crypto is very tribalistic, and this cracked me up. You've got the crypto tribalism coming to Avalanche and Cardano leaders. This was a funny one I just had to share. One single Avalanche subnet. This is from Emin Gunsirer, the head of Avalanche. And he kind of boasted they launched, and within 2 days, the TVL was more than Cardano had within 3 or 4 months. And that was exciting. But somebody did not take that very well. And he immediately came back with some meme, good job me. This was Charles Hoskinson fighting back against me. And he said, that feeling when you deploy your enormous pre-mine to boost your TVL. Well, we'll see. I know that the total value locked is massive, and the amount that Cardano has is not that much, but we'll see what happens. But now that these leaders are just kind of trolling each other and becoming tribalistic, I think there's no space in the crypto space for this type of antagonistic behavior. They should just all just move along, get on with their own chains, and partner if they want, but they shouldn't be attacking each other or making fun of each other, because a lot of sensitivity. I also think it's a little bit immature to respond with a meme. You could have had something more intelligent to come back with. Anyway, that's enough of that. Again, as far as I'm concerned, people can invest in whatever they want. I don't care. I just share what I do. That's all. Now, Honduras, their economic zone. There's a lot of confusion about Honduras making Bitcoin as a legal tender. As it turns out, the president of Honduras, Prospera something, they are basically making Bitcoin legal tender in an economic zone, which is actually in conjunction with a tourist zone. So the country itself will not. However, that zone, if you do set up a business there, you won't have to pay taxes, but you will be able to do everything within Bitcoin. So it is a way of attracting new wealth. And who knows, if it's successful, like in many El Salvador, it could expand to the rest of the country. But right now, they have no plans to do that. Just to make sure everybody understands, Honduras has not made Bitcoin legal tender. It's just an economic zone within the country itself that has. Speaking of another country, India. This could be part of the weakness in the crypto market as well. I'm not sure, because the amount of crypto trading is quite small from India, but it's growing very fast. But we did touch on, I think, a few weeks ago that India was going to start April 1st, 2022, imposing a 30% tax on all Bitcoin and crypto income. And that has rattled markets, and it caused some panic selling. But the silver lining, of course, is that India has not banned crypto. They just want to monetize it. But that tax rate's a little too high, and it is spooking investors. And volumes in India have dropped off a cliff. So that could explain some of the weakness in the market too. In other news as well, just to warn you all about the Wild West NFT marketplaces, this was a cool article in Bloomberg. It talks about how LooksRare, the NFT marketplace, is incentivizing users to trade against themselves, to swap their NFTs for a different token. And the whole idea behind this is so they can make fees, and to make it look like the marketplace is very active. So people can, they win different types of tokens to pump up NFT prices to lure unsuspecting buyers. Again, just be careful out there, everybody. Everything is not as it seems. Do not trust anything you see, and be careful, especially dealing with NFTs out there. Now, Gary likens crypto to the .com bubble. Our friend Gary Gensler, he was at the University of Pennsylvania, my old alma mater, and he told his audience that the top crypto industry still has some similarities to the .com bubble, and we all see that as well. He drew a parallel to Super Bowl ads this year, how it was very similar to pre-.com implosion. But he also noted as well, one of the concerns he has, despite listing off the cases that he is running against XRP, etc., he noted that 80 to 85% of crypto trading involves stablecoins, which by design avoid sending money to and from the traditional banking system, the traditional rails. And this is a concern, and this makes it possible to fund and defund accounts very easily, and he doesn't have his hands around that. And that's why I think the first big piece of regulation that will come in the form of stablecoins, again, tying back to UST, USDC, Tether, etc., and they're also, I guarantee you, looking hard at Tether too. So we'll see where all that goes. Now, a little bit of stock equity news. In full disclosure, I own all of these 3 stocks. All of them are going to split this year. 2 of them are going to do 20-for-1 stock splits. I can't remember the last time I traded options on a 21-for-1 stock split. I've did a 10-for-1 last year on Trade Desk, but this one will be interesting. Now, Bank of America Securities, I think this was on Barron's, it talked about the split to beat since 1980. Any S&P 500 stock that announced stock splits have beaten the index by 16 percentage points over the following year, which is dramatic, and it just increases as it goes on and on. So a lot of people say that stock splits don't actually impact stocks. Well, they impact the psyche of the investor, and it does draw more money in, and this data proves it very clearly and easily. So again, 21 stock splits will be massive, especially if you trade options. And if you're interested in doing more as to how that actually works, I can drop a video on that too. Now this was eye-opening for me and very disturbing. A big thank you to Sanjay for bringing it to my attention, and I dug into the most recent paper, and it was a 150-page paper from the Distributional National Account Guidelines and their method and concepts used in the World Inequality Database. And it breaks basically over the last 40 years, 40, not 40 years, it breaks out the increase in wealth and how much the income grows and which income group stands to benefit the most. And it was actually quite horrifying to see this data, and it's a bit of an eye chart, so let me try and explain it to you. The income group is at the bottom, so imagine if you were in the top 1 percentile, which is basically, that's not a linear scale, but 99 is, look for the 99 number, and you can see that those people in the top 1% stand to benefit the lion's share of all the income growth around the world. The people in the bottom 50% only captured 12% of the growth. The people in the top 1% captured nearly 30% of the growth. And that is staggering. It gets even worse if you look at the 0.01%. They grabbed a huge chunk of that 30%. So this whole problem of, you can see here the squeezed bottom, those between, not even in the bottom 50%, but the fact that the whole middle class sector, those between kind of the 50th percentile and the 99th percentile, they all got squeezed. All their wealth has actually gone down over the last 40 years, and the top 1% are taking everything. So again, it's a wake-up call. This disparity is terrible. It's awful. It has to change. Be in control of your own destiny as you go forward. Find ways to get assets that will have exponential gains over time. Do not be a wage slave or invest in things that some financial advisors say 60-40 portfolio, 40% in bonds, all this stupidness. This is the trap. Get out of the trap. So next thing, another bit of bad news is this from The Economist, and I have been talking about this. The food inflation index is about to go insane, and we ain't seen nothing yet. The alarm bells should be going off all over the world. This is the food price inflation just for the first 12 weeks of this year. It's up a crazy amount. I don't even know what percentage this would be, but 20, 30, 40%. As we know, 40% of the wheat supply of the world comes from Russia and Ukraine. That is going to be heavily disrupted. If we see a quarter of that or 30% of that, it'll be, some people say, a miracle. We're also seeing massive disruptions to the fertilizer supply out of Russia. Russia's a huge manufacturer of fertilizer, which is necessary to grow crops. And again, I'm not even talking about energy or other things like that. This is just food. And this is going to cause famine and starvation around the world. And people need to be freaking out. Even things like vegetable oils have gone up by 25% in March alone. And partly because of other factors like poor harvest in South America, droughts, other issues. This is a real problem for planet Earth, I'm afraid. Now, I can't leave on such a sour note. This, from my fellow bikers out there, I never thought I'd be alive to see this day. Flying motorbikes are here. This will only set you back $777,000. And the company, I think they're called Ali Technologies out of Japan, are planning their IPO to sell and scale these magnificent creatures. They work. Flying motorbikes work. I feel like I can't even remember the movie. I think it was somebody with a flying skateboard, Back to the Future or something like that, or the Star Wars movie when the guy was in this thing that just hovered above the sand. We are here, ladies and gentlemen. So it'll be a big, exciting IPO. Not investment advice to buy, but again, happy to see flying motorbikes. I'd love to try one day. So with that, happy Saturday, everybody. Be safe out there. I'll see you all tomorrow for the weekly Q&A, where I do all the top questions from the community that come in, whatever is in people's minds. Also, I will take one question from this audience. Drop a comment below. Let me know what is on your mind, what is most burning, what is bubbled up and liked the most, and I will address that too. So thank you, everybody. Happy Saturday. Big thank you to the moderators out there, and love you all. See you tomorrow. Bye.